Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time, back with his good friend Matt, the lumberjack landlord. And yes, he's still employed. He's looking mighty dapper today. He must have a client meeting later or something.
Had to show up for kids assembly.
There we go. There we go. That's awesome. How you doing, man?
I'm doing really good. Yeah, that requires a shower. You don't want to be known as the stinky dad.
Yeah, you don't want to be that dad. Yeah. Don't go near here. All those flies that just like fly around.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, thankfully we always get there before flies do, but still nonetheless, we don't want to set the precedent.
There you go. There you go. Well, hey, what I wanted to do today is you and I actually haven't talked. We obviously saw, I don't know if you've watched it. I've watched it a couple of times. Powell's all-encompassing 8-minute speech that took $80 billion off of Musk and Bezos and Buffett, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah.
So again, I think I've said a couple of times that Jerome Powell finally walked up to Mr. Market and kicked him in the nuts.
Yeah.
Which I was excited for. Now we have Neil Kashkari, Minneapolis Fed president, saying good, which is like, that should be, if you're in the market, you should be afraid when a Fed president goes good. I'm glad it reacted that way. But what did you think of Friday? What did you think of the reaction? What have you, it's been 3 or 4 days. What do you think's going on?
I mean, I think it was awesome. It's exactly what needed to happen. I think that, man, like Greens, like I think I probably liked Bernanke the most.
Okay.
Wasn't a big Greenspan fan, wasn't a big Hank Paulson fan. Like Hank Paulson made me nervous.
Yeah.
Just kind of like, well,
and Janet Yellen.
There's some consternation in the markets. Yeah, we know. We know.
Yeah.
Hank.
Yeah. I can see that too. Thank you.
Yeah. Janet Yellen, not a fan. No, she is horrible at her job. Pretty much everyone she's had in government.
Yeah.
But
and the one she still has.
Yeah.
The new one.
But seemingly she sticks, right? Yeah. Like she sticks better than housing prices in a decline.
Good one. Good one.
So yeah, I mean, I thought it was great. I think it's, we really need to be focusing. We really need to be focusing on one thing and one thing only, which is inflation.
Yeah.
That's it. And kind of everything else, damn the torpedoes. That's the way it needs to go. That's going to be our fastest, best, and safest bet, because I got to be honest, inflation on a personal level, not really impacting me. It's not impacting you either, really, at the end of the day. Who it's really impacting is our tenants.
Yes.
That's who it's really crushing. And so for me, I really don't care about anybody but my tenants. I want my tenants to have a good opportunity. So we didn't raise rents across the board. We weren't going 30% and, damn the torpedoes, and this is the way we're going to do it. We really honestly wanted to try and work with our tenants. The thing is that we also had to work with them and say, hey, at the end of the day, as a landlord, I can't get assistance for fuel. You can. So we're not going to pay for your fuel this year. If you decide to budget and be smarter about it and do a better thing and keep the thermostat at a reasonable level, awesome. Then you'll have that much less that you'll have to apply for assistance. Our state governor was smart, and he looked at it and said, we need to double that bucket. So I think that, my buddy Jerry, I think all of the things that he covered in that speech were exactly where it needs to be, which is like, he wasn't protecting his Goldman Sachs buddies.
No,
he was letting him know, hey, so you've had a long enough turn.
Yeah.
It's
the top 1% have had enough.
It's your brother's turn. And now it's your brother's turn. And that's what I love. I want to see that.
Yeah. Again, I think there's a couple of things. And again, for me, I am a cautiously optimistic person that he's going to follow through.
Yeah.
Because again, Friday's speech, I've been begging for it. You've heard me say, rip the Band-Aid off, stop being weak,
100%.
Get a backbone. Friday, step one.
Yep.
I think we have a big test on September 21st.
Goes up. Yep.
Yeah, not only goes up, has
50 or
75? 75.
I agree with you. I agree.
He has to go 75, or the market goes, you got us again.
Yeah,
you're weak.
Yeah. Yep. It's a parent following through on their punishment.
Exactly. You grounded the kids for a week.
Candy?
Yeah.
No, you lost it for the week.
Yeah.
How many more days is that?
Yeah.
So
6.
Yeah, exactly. You got 6 more left.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's exactly it. I think he has to just follow through. I think that that's carrying through, and we're starting to see all the things that you and I have been talking about, and you've been talking about with a lot of your experts and folks that I've been talking to. We're finally seeing all the stuff we've been talking about, which is transactions slowing.
Oh, way
Then
down. Yeah.
right. But then we get the rate dip and everybody jumps back in.
We did. Yeah. It's going to be interesting. Dude, go ahead. Keep up because I have a big fear for the rest of the year.
Agreed. So the rate dip, everybody jumps back in because you and I were right. 6% was the number, not 4, not 5. You and I were right.
Yes.
6 was the number, right?
And
we got to
a point
6
drop,
and it went off a cliff. Now it came back into the 5s and sometime buy downs into the 4s. Some stuff is still high 5s. Now it's back in the 6s. But when 6 owner rocks are what's prevailing for the day, that's what basically crashes transactions again.
Yeah, no, right? I think it's coming, dude. And I got to tell you, if I were going to tell you that by December 31st, owner ox best credit 20% down had a 7 on it, what would you say?
You think 6 was slow?
Yeah, exactly. The other thing I got to say is I think we've seen peak supply, and that hurts my head to say, because again, I think we're heading into the seasonally slower months. You can't argue that. And if rates go from 6 to 7, that's just more people that go, you know what? Now's not the time to sell.
I think that there's going to be that, but I think there's going to be a shadow inventory. And what I mean by that is I think that there's going to be people that don't know that they know that now is not the time to sell. So they call the broker. Let's face it, brokers are many brokers in many markets are a lot less busy. They're going to take the chance on the listing, right?
It will, yeah.
Right? Because you and I both know what's the most important thing that a great sales guy does? He walks away from deals he knows he can't close.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. I hate maybe. Yeah.
Exactly.
I love yes or no. I hate maybe.
Exactly. And what we call the Barney calls. Yep. I love you and you love me and we're a happy family and I'm going to buy from you. And those deals
but not today.
Exactly. But not ever. Right? 18 months later, that deal still hasn't happened. You're like, well, I'm still forecasting it though. I was like, swear to God, you forecast that deal one more time, I'm going to fire you. I never want to see that in your forecast ever again because it's a forecast rat. Get it out. And so I think people are going to go through that faster sped up process on their homes where they're just like, you know what, everything that we're hearing, let's just see if we can sell it. And there's enough agents out there that are bad and not busy that they will take those bad opportunities. They will list them. And in 2, 3, or 4 weeks, yanked. That thing gets yanked. So I think that there's going to be this false narrative, right? Where there's going to be this big jump in inventory.
And it's funny. I think we just had it. I think what we're seeing,
you think that was it?
I think that was it. I think the record bump we had was because again, I want to go back to calling July 20th. July 20th was the date that kind of shocked the world. And I think a lot of listings came on, and now we're seeing cancellations and expireds. And I think inventory goes down in September, goes down in October. And again, if you're hoping for a price crash, you don't want to see inventory down.
I know we have, and that's the thing is, I know we have to talk nationally, right?
Yeah, of course.
Right. But you look at it and what was it? CoreLogic came out with their findings, which I think 4 months ago, it was something like 26 metros they thought had a better than 50% chance of a decline. And then it was 50 something, and then it was 90 something, and now it's 138.
Yeah, no, I saw that. I reported that on that yesterday.
So now you've got so go ahead. So now you have 138, right? 138 metros where and that's out of 500 metros. You now have a third of metros where they expect greater than a 50% reduction.
Well, no, let's be very clear what the number is, because
50% chance of a drop.
Yeah. And again, a drop meaning -1.
Yes.
Yep. -1 would count in that 50%, right? It's 50.
Yep. Yeah.
But the other thing, let's finish the story, because again, there's a lot of channels that will talk about scary numbers.
Sure.
CoreLogic's national expectation for next year is 4.6.
Up, right?
Up,
right. Okay, yeah. I thought
collectively speaking.
Yep, collectively speaking.
Which is above Zillow for the first time. It's really funny. Zillow was the outlier, right? 19, 17, 16, now 2.
they have PTSD from being wrong so often.
Oh, they're so bad. They're so bad.
But so what's interesting about all of that, Mike, is if you put it all together, right? All these YouTube channels, they're all so much smarter than the statisticians at CoreLogic and Black Knight. Just stop. Like we look at
actually, you know what? Why should they stop? Let's just have this conversation. I watch some of these channels. they're getting 200,000 views on a repeated message.
Mhm.
That's $2,000. Why should they stop? If people watch it, I think they should create it. I think they are geniuses. I think you and I are stupid for telling people what we think. We should just lie and beat up the data and do all of it. If we're doing this for the money, we should lie. We should just make up facts. They do it. Why can't we? It's
So
because we
this
don't
is-
need it.
Yeah. So this is why, in all honesty, this is why I don't give advice. This is why I only share my story.
All right. Exactly.
I don't give advice. You and I only share our story. Hey, this is what I'm doing.
Yep.
You know, I talk about, I got 3 deals under contract in the last 10 days.
Yep.
3. Awesome. They're all over 20% returns. And in fact, 2 of them are construction deals, meaning that they're big construction projects, rehabs.
Mhm.
I'm putting down $150,000. The bank is giving me $175,000 to rehab it.
There you go. Done.
How's that a bad deal?
Yeah.
So, but you look at those deals and that's where it's like, that's what I share. And then the same thing with like, but buying my second home in Vegas, what am I doing?
Waiting.
I'm waiting.
Waiting.
I'm waiting because I want to wait until I'm not trying to catch the falling knife. I'm trying to wait until I see a little bit of a bump along the bottom.
Mhm.
And because it's my second home, this is why the rules are different. It's not a place for my family. I don't have to rent otherwise. I have no other additional costs to waiting. I have no cost to waiting.
Yeah. And you're willing to be wrong. You're like, oh,
100%.
yep.
If I have to buy with a 9% mortgage, right?
So be it.
And prices only went down 20%. So effectively I'm negative 20% in the
Yeah.
hole.
Right. Yeah. So
C'est
be it.
la vie, way it goes. It's fine.
Yeah.
I know eventually rates won't be 9.
Yeah. Then you'll refi later. Right.
Have to do that. But if you're waiting for that to play out, I've got a 5-year time horizon where that can play out.
Exactly.
Where there's
Zero cost.
rent, 0 cost to me whatsoever. It's just
Yeah.
pleasure.
Yeah, because again, this is not a home that you would Airbnb. It's just clearly
No.
a second home. You just
Just a second home.
yeah, it's pretty cool.
In fact, if I have it, I'm going to have a bunch of my jerk friends. Chris, you know who you are. And you're going to want to use it for free because that's what Chris does.
Oh, Chris, shame on you, buddy. So again, let's kind of wrap this up. So clearly more pain ahead, rates going higher longer.
Yep.
I think that means in our market, 7% mortgages. I think dude, it hurts my head to say a 4 Fed funds rates coming.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, sure.
But, all asset prices are getting hit. I don't know if you checked this morning, but again, markets are down today because, oh my God, they think Powell's serious. So the stock market's going to, the stock market's going to take a hit. The dollar's going to get stronger. Rates are going up. Crypto's going to get hit. Just no place to hide, maybe other than cash. What do you think?
You know what's really crazy is, so we just placed an order for Romex wire for one of our rehab projects.
Mm-hmm.
It is not that far off the peak with how much copper's dropped.
Really?
It is super sticky. So when copper was, I believe it was in the 5s,
Mm-hmm.
we were doing Romex rolls 14.2, which is what you use to connect lights and switches.
Mm-hmm.
A roll of 250 was running about $130.
Okay.
So now copper isn't in the 5s anymore. It's in the mid to low 3s, between 3.25 and 350.
So it's down 40%.
About that.
Okay.
Romex wire, still 115.
Interesting.
Very.
Forgive me, I don't know. Where is it? Is it produced in the US or do we import that stuff?
A lot of it is.
Okay,
Yep.
that's good. All right.
So, mix. Yeah, it's mixed depending on the company. But then the bigger thing is lumber, right? Lumber 1,700.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's trading in the 4s thereabouts.
Wow. Yeah.
And so a 2x4x10 or 2x4x8 went from, which is a normal building stud, went from about $10. We've actually seen that price and now it's in the 4s.
Oh, okay.
So we've seen significant correction there, but have we seen an 80% correction? We have not. Or a 75% correction? We have not. That's where prices are sticky. And so I think there's obviously, what does that leave? That leaves margin that I think.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, they probably were eating margin before.
Heck yeah, they were.
Now they're paying it back.
Yep. And so now that they're chasing it down, they're like, yeah, we don't need to chase it down that fast.
Yeah, we don't need to go that far.
Yeah. The bigger issue that I have is what's going to happen. I think the story of the winter with fuel is going to be the biggest issue. I have that. My biggest fear is
again, a lot of these things are kind of like my brain gets wrapped around it. Sometimes I can't let it go, which is a problem, frankly,
Understood.
because
It's an issue.
I get too distorted, right?
Yes.
And that's why I talk to all my experts, because a lot of us disagree. A lot of my
Sure.
experts disagree with me, which I think is so awesome. But I actually think fuel and food, we haven't seen the worst of it. It's
I don't
60 days, 75 days out.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen the worst in food. I don't think we've seen the worst in food. I think there will always be items that are sparse and items that you have to wait to come back in and things like that. I think our bigger issue is fuel.
Yeah.
Fuel is going, Michael, it's going to hurt. It's going to, because we tapped into the strategic oil reserve.
Yeah, you can't do that again.
Can't do that again. And you can, but then you empty it, but then you have to fill it back up. But then you also, guess what? You're kind of ready to get your butt kicked when you don't have any food left and when you don't have any fuel left to run everything. So that's where it's like, you can say, and again, this isn't a political statement, this is just fact of management. You need to make sure that when you're using something for an emergency, that it's actually an emergency.
Yeah, because the other thing that people don't realize is they will fill it back up again, but they're going to be filling it up and competing.
Yes, of
with
course.
all of us. And again, their money is our money. So
of course,
they're kind of
we're going to be competing with ourselves for prices. But to give you an idea of how bad I think some of the oil companies think it's going to be, I tried to lock them in on a price. So we used 10,000 gallons of gas and oil last year to heat our apartments and houses. 10,000 gallons.
Wow.
Last year, that cost into the 30s. It cost about $37,000-$38,000.
Jeez.
We expect this year, if we only use that same amount, but we actually added a bunch more properties, so we're going to actually use. We're about We're going to use about 50% more.
Ooh.
Okay, so 50% more. So call it 15,000 gallons. I had a fuel company that said the only way we'll lock you in is if you lock in at $8.
Dude, that's 120 grand.
I know. It's not 40.
No, that's
not 40.
Up 300%.
So I've worked with all three different companies, and I don't know if they're oil futures holders. I don't know how much,
I don't know.
I mean, there's small mom and pop oil places.
They're probably not doing futures. Yeah.
Right. So I'm just asking them, what can you do? And I'm waiting for 2 more answers to come back. And hopefully they say, yeah, if you pre-buy, because I will pre-buy 10,000 gallons. I'll pre-buy it. Yeah. I'll just pre-buy 10,000 gallons. They go, you know what? Right now we're at $450, but we think it's going to go down a little bit before it goes up. And we'll just buy enough where we can lock you in at that price. If they say 4, I will write them a check for 40 grand.
Okay.
And I will roll the dice, because I believe that the risk of us being at 5, 6, or 7, things escalating in the wintertime in overseas, I think all of those things are far higher. And that could be the greatest single move I make this coming winter.
Wow. So basically we're talking about more pain ahead. There's lots of pain coming.
Yes.
And it's funny that we've been talking about it for 6 months. This is coming now. It's here. And yeah, I don't feel great about 2023.
No, I mean, like I said, I still believe that we're going to see. I think that what rates are going to do, based on what my buddy Jerry's doing, I think that that's where we run into trouble. I think that's where my 10 to 20% comes into play over a couple of years.
Yeah,
because I don't see that we're up next year, and I see this is going to stick for a while. It's not going away.
Yeah. So folks, if again, a lot of my experts, Greg Dickerson, yourself, disagree with me. Again, I'm calling flat home prices. Lumberjack and Greg and others are calling for a correction, certainly double digits over years. They're not calling
over years. Yeah.
They're not, because again, they both understand that the largest yearly decline was 8.9%. We're not doing that.
Yeah, I already hate myself, because having to watch the videos that we're going to have to watch about a given market being down 20% in 9 months. Like, there's going to be a couple markets that happens in.
Sure, I agree.
But they've also missed the narrative a little bit. Wall Street didn't start selling. They stopped buying. There's a difference.
There is absolutely a difference.
Selling creates supply. Stopping buying, all that does is let what's coming to the market give other people a shot.
Yeah. So again, there's more pain ahead. The Fed speech, I think, was pretty clear. Interest rates going up. I think a nasty recession's in our future. Unemployment, fuel. Just I don't feel great about 2023. Matt, where can people find you?
Lumberjack Landlord on Instagram and YouTube. Also Sunday mornings, 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. We do my live stream where we just answer people's questions for a few hours.
Yeah, that's a lot. And you go 3 hours, man. I can't believe you do
It's
that.
true. Yeah,
Awesome.
it was
Good
fun.
job.
Thanks,
I will
Mike.
never go 3 hours.
Thanks.
Thanks.